skibbity la doobity doo, the oi, oi, oi. We're the rugby boys, we're the rugby boys. Our mugs are filled to the brim. Our lifestyle is eternal, and rhyming be something we cannot do. Don't come too close, our lifestyle does not exist in the realm of time. Come is what fills up our mugs, we are the rugby boys. Oh, skibbity la doobity doo, the oi, oi, oi. Ah, skibbity la doobity doo, we are the rugby boys. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the #1 podcast in the world. Let's talk about Fourthmeal.
Okay.
Because supposedly we just watched that.
Supposedly.
Well, I guess we did. Fourthmeal. What do you think about it, huh? Where did that inspiration come from for us?
My eyes are watering.
That is the answer to the question I asked.
I don't know.
I think we were... Actually, I think Ethan was there for that. I think we were walking...
The cougar thing was we were playing disc golf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were walking past a porta potty, and we were... That's all... What happened after that?
I don't remember. It was just something where we were being normal human beings until I was like, hey, here's this hypothetical. And
something about a cougar. If like a cougar attacked us, that I think that I would have to handle it or something, because I'm not sure if that's where that originated from or not. But
no, the you handling things was the whole. We're trapped on a desert island, and it is your role to handle the hogs.
Okay, I mean, like,
because you're the biggest.
Yeah.
So therefore, you do the shittiest stuff.
If we're me, you, and at the time there was 2 other people, we're trapped on a desert island. My job would be to handle the hogs. Okay, so like. First of all,
there's hogs.
Yeah. Okay, so that's someone. Let's just say it. Ethan appointed me to handle the hogs right off the bat. So I'm like, okay, like, oh, that's fine, I guess. But there's other people doing things like collecting water, making maps. But here's the fucked up part: is that if we got attacked by a bunch of hogs, I had to handle it, and like they weren't allowed to like help me out because that's my job. So like, okay, yeah, just because you're making a map or whatever it is, like you can't fucking help. If I'm getting attacked by like 100 hogs, like Ethan would step back and be like, no, trust me, don't help him. You're just gonna get in the way. And like, come on, let's go make a map. I just saw a cool tree. I don't know. That's pretty much how I felt about it, at least. You guys weren't allowed to help me. And I think he even like agreed on that. So it's not like me just using my imagination.
Yeah, it was a thing where we were all assigned jobs that like you had to adhere to strictly, apparently.
Like, you think I could like...
Well, okay, so I at least get the reasoning. It's like, okay, we got to get stuff done. Let's split up. You would be the one who would go to do like the heaviest task or physical task, I would assume, if we all had to split up and delegate work, simply because you were bigger than everyone else. But it somehow went down this path of specifically handling hogs.
And only I could do it.
Yeah.
So that's way different than being like, hey man, like I'm gonna go collect water. They're gonna go work on finding a campsite. You can like go chop wood for a campfire or something, because I don't know. Let's just say that's fine. But it's like to say that I have to my job is strictly to handle to handle the hogs. First of all, I didn't even know that like there were going to be hogs in this made up scenario, and all of a sudden they got thrown in there. But anyway, we got off topic about Fourthmeal because that's sort of the same thing, right? So I was only allowed to handle this hypothetical cougar that was drunk.
So you had to fight a drunk cougar inside of the porta potty, porta potty, whatever the hell it's called, and we were not allowed to help because there wasn't enough room or something. I think was maybe the first line of thought,
Maybe.
but then it just evolved into like, "Don't help me,
Yeah.
don't help me with this cougar. You will only get in my way."
Well, he made it seem like it was like, well, what are we gonna do? Like what are we gonna do if you can't handle the cougar? Like that's not the point. Like if three of us were fighting a cougar, we have a better chance, or fighting anything, we have a better chance of like coming out on top and alive. But if you two just stand back and watch while I fight the cougar, just because you think that there's nothing you can do, that doesn't make any sense to me. to like anyone who has common sense, that shouldn't make any sense. But that's how that's how the cougar started. This drunk cougar, and all of a sudden next thing we know, he's like, we couldn't find him because we opened the porta potty and there's an empty bottle of whiskey in there, which I think that was true. And then we're like, oh shit, the cougar's gotten out. He's drunk. He drank the whole bottle of whiskey. Now he's like, we got to warn people that, like, we were at a disc golf course. We got to warn people at this park that there's a drunk cougar on the loose, and he's driving around in a 96 Ford Bronco. And he's also like screaming out the window that his name is Mr. Mervin. And
well, it wasn't that concrete at first. At first, it was just that the cougar is driving drunk to get Taco Bell at night.
Oh, Taco Bell, I forgot.
And then it somehow became that everything that was happening was the cougar dreaming of being a man who doesn't exist, but the man's wife does exist.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck we got on these topics, but somehow a man like wakes up and he's like, oh, this has all just been a dream. But then he like looks down and he like sees cougar paws. Like he thought, so he's like,
he's also slightly taller.
He's also slightly taller, which why did we say these things? But
well, it's none of it is like good just out of context. It's all stuff that it's like,
yeah,
you say it in the moment and we overanalyze it and we enjoy it. It's not as fun repeated.
It's not, yeah, but it's fun to just like add things to it, you know. It's like, yeah, and this, and then next thing you know, we have this entire character in this whole situation.
A stroll down a street, an encounter with a porta potty, and the sudden fear of a cougar. Sounds like an ordinary day, right? Wrong. Because when you open the door to that porta potty, what you find is not what you expect. An empty bottle of whiskey. A sudden rush of panic floods your senses. A cougar, and not just any cougar, a drunk cougar, is on the loose. Feeling sickened, the shout for help barely escapes your throat, but then the unexpected happens. A 96 Ford Bronco whizzes by, and from the driver's seat, the cougar yells out, "I'm a little taller, I'm Mr. Mervin." Now, before you judge, remember, this is no ordinary cougar. This is a cougar who can talk. A cougar who drives a Bronco. A cougar who goes by the name Mr. Mervin. Mr. Mervin, the drunk driving cougar, finds himself spiraling into a pit of despair. His laughter turns into moans, his joy into sorrow. He's filled with a strange craving, a craving for Fourthmeal at Taco Bell. It gnaws at him, driving him to the brink of madness. His mind starts playing tricks on him. The world around him blurs into a confusing haze. But just when things seem to be at their worst, something miraculous happens. A man wakes up in his bed laughing. It was all a dream, or was it? As he scratches his genitalia, he screams out in pain. Blood, damage, cougar paws. He looks around. His wife is there, her existence tangible, but he's not so sure anymore. Meanwhile, Mr. Mervin, the drunk cougar man, finds himself back in the driver's seat of his trusty 96 Bronco. He breathes a sigh of relief, but the relief is short-lived. He looks down at his feet. They seem farther away than before. He's not entirely sure, but he thinks his feet look suspiciously like cougar paws. His mind races. He grips the steering wheel as a voice rings out, "May I take your order? My name is Bill." Mr. Mervin, the drunk cougar man, replies in the only way he knows how. He breaks out into a song, singing his order for Fourthmeal. And so ends the tale of the drunk cougar man, Mr. Mervin. A tale as confusing as it is intriguing. A tale that leaves you questioning, was it all just a dream, or is there really a cougar out there driving a 96 Bronco, craving Fourthmeal at Taco Bell?
So I sat down and wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
I was walking down the street just the other day when I saw a porta potty and I said, hey, let me take a little piss, let me take a little break. Then the fear of a cougar came inside my brain. But I opened the door, even though it was risky. Couldn't believe what I saw, an empty bottle of whiskey. And a fright and panic took over my soul. I knew I had to warn the people, had to let them know. Too sick to scream, I tried to muster a holler when the cougar drove by and yelled, I'm a little taller. That 96 Ford Bronco was speeding and swerving. He shouted out the window, I'm Mr. Mervin. Now you could tell that this dude wasn't sure he was a cougar, cause he verbally communicated that message to you. He was all alone, bumping chicken bone, and he laughed and moaned himself into a state of depression, judging by his expression, to a light headache and rage and pain. And Fourthmeal was on his brain, driving him insane, driving this drunk cougar mentally deranged, in a state of illusion, to the point of confusion, to the bell, the only place to escape this hell. But then a man in bed woke up from his dream, and he laughed at all the crazy things he'd seen. But he quickly screamed as he scratched his balls. There was blood and damage from his cougar paws. He then realized his existence wasn't real, but his wife existed. Yes, this he could feel. Then Mr. Mervin woke up in the driver's seat with a sigh of relief and a sigh of confusion as he gazed at his feet. They were further away than he last recalled, and he was 40% sure they were cougar paws. Yo, his mind was racing, man, I thought this wasn't real. Then he heard a voice as he grabbed the wheel. May I take your order? My name is Bill. He said, yeah.
Give me that fourth meal. Give me that fourth meal. Give me that fourth meal. Give me that fourth meal.
And that's the song that you just heard. And then you saw Dylan's drawing of the drunk cougar pulling up a Taco Bell. But you don't know if that's... As far as I know, the only thing that's real was that man's wife. The man who doesn't exist's wife. So, like, but what we're focusing on the most is the cougar getting Fourthmeal, getting Taco Bell.
Which, by the way, it's not
So
that she just exists and isn't actually married to him. She is still married to the man. That doesn't exist.
His wife exists. Anyways, I mean, we haven't talked about this in years, by the way. So, like, it's kind of hard to remember all this stuff, honestly, but it's very frustrating to bring it back up because everything you say is like, dude, that's, I mean, it sounds dumb, but it's just fun.
It is dumb.
It is dumb, but it sounds like almost like if we, the fact that we're repeating it, we're not like coming up with it on the spot, it just doesn't even sound funny, almost. It's only probably funny to us because we think it's funny because we just thought of all this stupid stuff.
It's like shock value at the time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that actually brings me up to one of the next points I want to talk about. In the song, we talked about laughing yourself into a state of depression. And we may have talked about this a little bit on the first podcast that we didn't actually put out. But just imagining someone laughing themselves into a state of depression. I want to dive into that.
It's hard to.
Yeah.
It's one of the, a lot of our humor is stuff that's not explainable, really, and it's best not explained. It's fun to try to at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, we
It's
always
like
try.
digging into the concept, but then
Yeah, because like you're laughing and you're just having so much fun, and just like energy is being released from your body. You're in such a good state, but you keep going until you get to a point of depression. Just imagining that is something about it is it's very interesting. Or laughing yourself into a light headache and rage. The fact that we use light headache and not just like laughing at yourself into a headache. But no, just a light headache, but rage. So I think we just like extremes too.
and things that contrast. I don't know. Is this fun for everyone to listen to us explain our own jokes?
What about the word gargoyle?
Gargoyle. That's a good word.
Yeah.
It's easy on the ears.
You got any other words that you can think of that are gross sounding?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, I'm always thinking of gross words, but it's hard to on the spot.
Burp.
Was that an actual burp, or was that you saying burp?
It's kind of a gross sounding.
That's just me.
Kind of a
saying
gross sounding word. Burp. Burlap. Burlap sack.
Wash rag.
Warsh. Well, I guess that's not even a real word, unless
Let's
depending
go.
on who you ask.
Warsh.
You ask my papa.
Your papa? How is your papa? We could dig into some father rage or some of my grandma rage that was triggered today.
Grandma. Today?
Yeah.
Well, then, yeah.
So, so much like you know how your dad like will repeat himself. There's no limit to how many times he could say, "Make sure your heat's on.
Make sure you
Make sure you do all
survive.
this stuff."
Yeah.
Like make sure you know all these basic things
Yeah.
as an adult man. Well, so whenever I went back to school, she was like my co-signer or guarantor on
Like when you were back with like
to
a long
college.
time ago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I'll go ahead and say it. I don't ever pay my shit on time because of the
Oh.
way my money works. I pay it within the month, but I always pay it like 3 days late because that's just how my money goes. It comes and goes very quickly.
But you were paying back your student loans?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Well, not those. These are private loans, not the other
Oh.
ones, because I don't have to pay for those. Basically, they're $0 a month. But anyway,
I actually did that too. I'm not sure if it's like actually true or not, but I applied for a save plan.
I did too. And
Yeah.
it just says that my total
So zero. I'm gonna keep
for at least a certain period of time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so anyway, she was my guarantor on those. So every time that anything's late by a day, they will call her. They don't really even call me. I don't know why they pester her so much. And she acts like it's the end of the world, and like she will pester my mom and my brother because they all live in the same place still and interact. I live an hour away, and it doesn't matter. This has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Constantly, she constantly harasses them about. She's like, "Oh well, I got 2 calls today," and like you would think that eventually she'd be like, "Okay, he pays it when he can. I can't pay it before I can pay it. That's just never going to happen. It's not possible. So I
Yeah.
pay it when I can,
Yeah.
and that's all I can do."
You really don't
And-
think you can pay it before you can?
No, I don't think so. There's something tells me I can't pay
I
it
don't know.
before I am able to.
I would look into that.
And
Doesn't sound like it's true.
it all comes down to the fact that she's just an old woman, and everything's the end of the world. But this has been going on. You would think
Dude, I
eventually
couldn't-
she wouldn't repeat this cycle every single month as if it's like a new
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But
like,
she does.
like
And
she's shocked every time.
and-
And
so today my mom was like, "Well, do you not call him?" She's like, "No." She's like, "Well, why?" He's like, "Well, every
oh,
time."
she doesn't call you?
No, my grandma
What?
doesn't talk to me. She just complains to my brother and mom.
Oh.
And she's like, "Well, every time I call him, he says he just pays it online." And my mom's like, "He does pay it online."
Yeah.
And it's like, so
What now?
so where do we go from there?
Yeah.
And it's the reason I brought up your dad, of like this repeat behavior that accomplishes nothing and means nothing. That's like your dad makes it a little more sense. He's at least he just wants
Mhm.
interaction with you, is what
Mhm.
it is, and he's just like, "Yeah, are you okay? I'm just checking in on you." He just does it in a way that sounds psychotic and is
Mm.
annoying and repetitive. My
And
grandma's
some control in there too, because he does it.
well, there is too, and that's not my
yeah.
grandma. She's a control freak. And
Yeah.
which I get some of that from her, but
I can't imagine my dad though. If my dad was in the situation where he was getting calls every month, like he would be. Probably wouldn't answer the phone when he called me ever, like because it would be. That's what we talk about every single time, and he would call. He calls me frequently, not just like it wouldn't be like once a month. He called me probably every day and talk about that. So like, I think even though I see what you're saying, I think it could be worse for you.
it could be. I mean,
Yeah.
this probably sounds so hateful. I don't hate my grandma. She's just old and annoying.
I don't think it sounds hateful.
Grandparents are just worried about everything. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I think everybody literally has dealt with stuff like that. But we could talk about my dad a little bit. He some of the things that he'll say to me is like
Your dad's at least funny. It may not be funny to you at the time, just like my dad, but
he
like
wants to make sure that I like turn the heat on when it's cold outside. I'm 33. I've been living on my own for many, many years. I've stayed alive very easily with like basic common sense, but like still anytime it's cold, he'll like ask me if I'm turning my heat on. Like, can you imagine if I was like, oh my God, no, I haven't. I haven't been. Like, whoa, I really haven't been turning my heat on. I don't even know how I've been so cold. I don't know.
Thank you, Pops.
Thank you, Dad. Like,
Thank you, Papa.
I really was wondering why I was so cold. And now that you reminded me to turn my heat on, I'm gonna go turn it on and like stay warmer. That's the only thing. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, how else could that conversation go? Like, it's either like gonna go like that, which is completely insane, or I'm just gonna be obviously yes, I'm
But-
fucking turn my heat on when it's cold outside.
So do you think that when your dad does that, that's like the equivalent of small talk, like, "Hey, how's the weather?" Or "Did you look at the weather today?" Or is it actually like?
I don't know, but if it is, you should. I think you should. Like, when someone, or let's say, like you're walking outside and you're like, "Oh, it's nice today," like that. That could turn into a pleasant conversation. You'd be, "Oh, it is like you're both feeling good. Like it is nice. The sun's finally out. It feels warm. We both feel good." But the other one is not going to turn into anything. It's not going to be like. Imagine if I called him and was like, "You better make sure you go to the store and get groceries because if you don't, you're not going to have anything to eat." Like that's the kind of stuff that he like. He also asked me if
Which I think
I
you
have
should
groceries.
I think you should turn the tables.
Should I
on your
call him right
dad.
now? I can't. I'm recording on my phone. I'm not gonna call him anyways. I'm not gonna call on your phone. Maybe one of these days I'll call my dad and put him on speakerphone. That's a good idea, actually, but not today. But we will, I promise. But he literally says things like, "You have groceries. You know, are you staying? Like, are you turning the heat on? Like, don't." He's like, "Don't let yourself stay up there and starve now." Like he,
But see, most of that stuff is innocent though. But it's just like the constant.
in a saint.
Well, there was something though that was much more frustrating to than that he was talking to you about all the time. But I can't remember what it was. And a lot of it is politics. He's a big Fox News watcher or sleeper tour.
Yeah. We'll also have that song one day too. The
The gum.
Memorize My Pain.
Yeah, and him not being able to find gum
Yeah.
because your mom shoved it up his ass.
Well, that's not a part of the song, but that's something that you made up that we've talked about. It's all good stuff. It's all fun.
So you can cut this out, but I love the image of your dad falling asleep at the kitchen table at night, like he does. He does do that.
Oh, I have a video on my phone.
Yeah, but it's good. This is a combination of so many things that no one's gonna care about. But apparently, Aaron's dad was obsessed with gum. I can't find my gum. Kathy, where's my gum? We can't go to church unless I've got my gum in the
Yeah,
morning.
especially on Sunday mornings when we're getting ready for church.
I
Like
know
he
you-
needed gum.
I know you must have put my gum somewhere.
I always blamed it on her for him losing his gum. Yeah.
And somehow I got on the topic of while he's asleep at night, sitting in the chair at the kitchen table, your mom depantsing him and sticking the gum up his ass while he sleeps
That's where she puts it.
and putting the juice back on.
But then like the
It's
next
funny to me. It's not funny to anyone else.
and
But
then like the next day it's like he's looking for it and she's like, "Oh, I don't know where it is." And she
I can't find my gum, but he's got it all along. That's the twist.
Yeah, that's the twist. The whole time he had it up his ass. So- I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny, I think. but
It's funny at the time. I just don't think it's funny to repeat to other people. Be like, okay,
Yeah.
dude shoved gum up his dad's ass.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny when you say it like that. I think it's all about how you say it, really. Speaking of how you say things, that's the last thing I wanted to like. Well, the last bullet point I had. We can talk about whatever. Is bear in. I can't. The phrase or saying "bear in mind."
Bear in
Bear in mind. First of all, I'm not even sure 100% what it means, but it's like bear in mind, and then they'll say something that you need to like remember, I think, or like something that is common knowledge, or
Yeah, I think it's just like a remember. Like
yeah. Bear in mind, there's a lot of cars out there. You need to use your turn signal. That's
Bear
what my
in
dad would
mind.
probably say.
There was another one that I had the other day that I can't
Bear
remember.
in mind. So like first somebody was like,
Bear
how do you
in mind.
bear Oh my god, dude. That's why I wrote it down because I was frustrated trying to figure that out.
How the first person said it. Bear in mind. It sounds like caveman.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Bear
Yeah,
in mind.
back before English. That's probably how they started it.
By speaking English just not well.
They were both all the cavemen were just like, oh. And then one guy was like, bear in mind. And everyone knew what he meant, and we still use it to this day. And then at a certain point,
The world's more awful for it.
yeah, I hate it.
I hate it.
Well, I've never once said it, and you never hear anyone else say it except for like, where did we hear that from? Movies? Or I know it's got to be something people used to say.
I don't know.
Bear in mind.
There's a lot of good things that like I just keep talking about old people. Like
Yeah.
old people talk about plums. Like whether they
Plums?
Yeah, like whether they're eating plums. Like a young person does not eat plums, first of all. But then
Or
also
prunes, I
like
don't think.
I'm plum tired.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just
Yeah.
or like well, I don't feel like fooling with it today. I don't feel like fooling with it today.
I'm plum tired. I'm tired as a plum. Because plums are either energetic or tired. Right?
And they're tired.
And they're tired because it's the only thing we refer to them as.
I'm plum tired.
Plum. Yeah, man, it's very interesting how language changes, isn't it?
Oh God.
Oh God. No cat.
No cat. Bussin' for real.
Hey yo, I'm busting for real. Hey yo, I'm busting for real. Puss.
Broth.
Puss. It's almost like really when you say any word, if you just say a word, like it's just such a weird. I don't know. It's probably dumb to think about
It's all
because
words.
yeah,
I mean, it's all just noises,
sounds.
is what I
Yeah,
meant.
noises. Yeah.
Ba
Yeah.
do ska
Buh.
do.
Buh.
Buh. That's a good.
It's a good story. How long have we
Not
been
really.
going?
I don't know.
We probably should go ahead and start to do
Wrap
our
it up.
concluding thoughts.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Yeah. Bear in mind.
Bear in mind, I done wrapped it up. I done plumb wrapped it up. Jug.
Shug. Is there anything else you want to say before we skedaddle?
No.
Grungus Funt.
Grungus Font. He's the classic. I think that's what started like all of the naming stuff. Like naming weird little guys and little critters and then drawing them. I mean, well,
what?
back in high school, there was like
Yeah, Darfus
and
and
King
yeah.
Prudence and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But us actually like sitting down together and being like, let's just say a silly name.
Like let's just say something that sounds gross and then draw it. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Because me and Dakota were going back and forth with.
Yeah. Should we like come up with a new situation or character for next time, or should we just keep doing maybe like for a little while, do some of the stuff we've already worked on throughout the years?
I don't care. It's up to you. We can do whatever.
All right. Let's come up with a crazy name. Scram Bowl Jertron. I forgot what I even said.
Well, I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah. All right.
Bye. Love you. Bye.